What if life isn't random? Have you thought about that? What if strange coincidences were actually messages from beyond the veil? Winks from the universe, maybe? Today we're talking about synchronicity.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Synchronicity. Not coincidence. Because there's a difference. We'll get into that at some point too. Yeah. From Carl Jung to Mark Twain. And everything in between, we're going to talk about what now is considered synchronicity. I don't Victoria had a great question. She asked ChatGPT.
What did people call it before synchronicity? The term was coined because it didn't just pop up. People didn't just suddenly start having meaningful coincidences. Like that's always happened as long as there's been people to observe things happening. And
what was the answer?
Omens, just omens and like signs, and serendipity was one.
I remembered curious.
Providence.
Curious coincidences.
Curious coincidences.
Providences.
Or I might have to look. I don't know if I'm remembering
it was
that
interesting.
right. Anyways, omens, like things like that.
But synchronicity's not always been around. It's actually like a newer concept. Carl Jung, a Swedish or Swiss, I forget. It's one of the two. We can put it in the thingy. But he was like the father of modern psychology. And he coined the term. As like you said, it was coined like in between the...
He first, the records of it first being out was, he said it casually in a dream lecture in 1929, but it was more officially like introduced because he had developed the idea and then kind of released it, and that was in the 1950s, 1951,
I think. Yeah. So yeah, synchronicity seems like something that it's not just like Kevin's band on The Office was Scrantonicity. Yeah.
It's not just Scrantonicity.
Yeah, it's not just Scrantonicity.
But seriously, what is it? What's synchronicity?
So synchronicity, I feel like the best way that I could describe it, I'll give you like Carl Jung's description, but I think synchronicity is coincidence with purpose, but like that purpose is only like seen by the observer, if that makes sense. There's like a hint of there's like a hint of like the double slit experiment or the observer effect or whatever it is. I don't want to butcher it, and I'm sorry. I know you know what I'm talking about though, like being like the observed universe. Like there's just a hint of that with like coincidence and synchronicity. So like synchronicity would be coincidence, but if it was like one of those modern art projects that you can only see it from a specific vantage point, that vantage point being your specific vantage point in the universe, if that makes sense.
That time, that place, that experience.
Because like you're in this position in a three-dimensional space, and looking out in this universe, you can see the things that lined up specifically from your vantage point, and trying to describe that to somebody else could be like trying to describe what purple is to a colorblind person.
Yeah, it doesn't always translate very well.
Exactly. So Carl Jung describes it here. I have notes on my laptop I can cheat with. There we go.
Got it?
Yeah. So Jung's elevator pitch of synchronicity would be that synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see. How did Carl Jung first catch a glimpse of synchronicity? And then how did Carl Jung really like step on the neck of it and be like, okay, this is a real thing? Because there's two examples that I know of, one and then the other. And I think you know exactly.
Well, when Carl Jung was working on one of his books, The Red Book, he was working on a mandala, a castle mandala that is somewhere in the book. And this actually promoted him to like let go of working on that book and come out and like interact with society, because he was really entrenched in like developing this book. I guess it was a big deal in his life. Anyways,
that's pretty cool. Actually, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. But he was working on this mandala, and one of his friends had sent him a transcript of a old Taoist alchemy text, and I can't remember the name of it. Do you remember what it is? Oh, we'll put it right here. And And anyways, he sent him this translated version of this text, and asked him if Carl would put a...
So I was flexing.
Carl Jung was, he had asked Carl if he would consider writing like a piece on psychology that would correspond with that text. And there was on the cover of this text that his friend had sent him a mandala that looked remarkably similar to him, to his castle mandala. And it was one of the first instances that he had of synchronicity that kind of was like, this is a thing.
Yeah, and like those of you that aren't familiar with a mandala, the really like fancy rings within rings of like different stuff.
And patterns.
So imagine getting like one of those, which is like what like you could honestly say is snowflake-esque, as in like they're very like unique. And for him to get one sent from somebody, and he'd been working on one in his house, just like, you know, locked away.
And it looked the same.
And it looked almost the same. That's something also that you're really only going to pick up on.
Yeah.
Because if you passed away or something and somebody saw your work later, they'd be like, oh, he was copying that mandala. They wouldn't know that you had the first handwritten one and somebody sent you another one and it was almost the same one. You're like, holy shit. So yeah, sorry to sidetrack you, but that is such like, because I think people that aren't familiar with mandalas, they're not going to really catch, you know, that you can literally look up a mandala. And
we can put pictures of the exact one right here.
Every time you say that, it's just more work for your husband's editing. So right here.
Keep working those muscles, baby.
The editing muscles. Keep working the editing muscles. Sorry.
But the more famous story is with the golden scarab, because when he was when he was taking
I'm sorry.
I gotta pee. I'm breaking. This is a break.
Okay, hit the thing again. That was so funny.
Well, I gotta go tinkle. So
when he was taking a fuck.
Like a really impactful moment that happened in Carl Jung's life about synchronicity and to do with it was when he was seeing one of his patients. They were in a session, and his patient was describing a dream that they had had, where in that dream a golden scarab had been gifted to them or presented to them in some way. And as that patient was talking about the scarab, a scarab in real life started scratching at the window to Jung's office, and he got up, couldn't believe it, grabbed the scarab and showed the patient, like, did it look anything like this, or whatever slick thing you'd say.
I have the quote he said here. Here's your scarab.
Here's your scarab. Yeah, and that was such an impactful moment for him, and it was impactful for the patient too, like allowed them to break through some kind of psychological hurdle they had. But it also showed Jung that it was a kind of experience that happens not only to him, like like with his mandala, but happened to other people, and it does happen. You can see it. It can be shared.
Yeah, like it says right here in like the notes that that was a breakthrough moment in her therapy as a skeptic. She was a rigid skeptic, and it became a breakthrough point in his belief in synchronicity as well, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So I think that's we can get into it. Synchronicity is one thing. You get like there's going to be some eye rolls or whatever, but synchronicity is something that goes hand in hand with a lot of psychedelics and a lot of mind-altering chemicals, alkaloids, and what you would call drugs. And I think a lot of that is because it's an opened perception.
And like your pattern recognizing capabilities are heightened in that kind of state. And I think that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, Terence McKenna famously just like really, really beat this idea. I was going to say to death, but never. Terence McKenna would beat things to life, I think would be a good way of saying it. But he used this idea a lot that scientists at some university, when they tested psilocybin, they had two parallel pieces of wood, and they started tilting one. And when you were under the influence of psilocybin, they could tell quicker with less change, which one was not
Yeah.
straight. And I think that also goes into a mental state too. I think you're more aware of change, you're more aware of differences, you're more aware of similarities.
Do you think that part of it could be that when you're under the influence of a psychedelic, you're just more present automatically? Like with the moment of whatever that could be?
Like that's the thing, like you have to like break down to what like being present and stuff like that is, but it's like I
guess you're not always present.
yeah, sometimes you're just like
Very
blown
not
away
present.
in the astonishment. But I think it like you have the decalcification stuff, you have a bunch of stuff like that, but I think it breaks down barriers also for you to be more open-minded. But we're going to get more into that, I think, a little bit later. But yeah, synchronicity is something that I feel like to me is kind of like one of, I wouldn't say one of, but it's kind of a religion to me.
It's like the closest thing you have to a religion, kind
Closest thing I have to a religion, probably. And what I mean by that is like in the way a religion like kind of gives you like the guidance on like kind of what to do and what not to do. I kind of like use those crazy coincidences you can't explain as kind of omens with stuff.
Kind of like a compass that tells you where to go with life.
Absolutely. And I feel that people not holding on to that, like people not seeing that as something important, which is where synchronicity comes in, is how people have lost a lot of the value of their independent lives. Like another cog in the wheel of you seeing yourself as just a monotonous grayscale person clocking in, clocking out, doing that. Synchronicity is one of the first things that like it literally feels like you're in the Truman Show or something, and all of a sudden it's just like, you know, the light that's supposed to be Sirius B or whatever falls in front of you, and it's just like, are you kidding me?
It feels like the world's watching you, like you matter.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
It couldn't just be like for no reason. It had to only happen because you were there. It feels like that.
Yeah, we've had synchronicity after synchronicity. I feel like some stuff that was just like out of this world. I mean, but even down to stuff that was just kind of humorous, as in like we'd said stuff like, I don't think there's like there's like another Wiggins down here when we moved down kind of by Douglas, like in Cochise County, Arizona. And we were joking about like being like the only Wiggins around or whatever. And then I'm on a map of the county, and it just so happens there's a Wiggins Road like just a few miles from us that we end up driving past all the time, that we crack up about, that it's like there's Wiggins Road and we never see another Wiggins. Like I don't know any other Wiggins other than the occasional TikToker that's like, hey, I'm a Wiggins too, from Kansas. But like we legitimately have seen a lot of crazy coincidences.
The craziest coincidence that I've seen since meeting Coyne, because I hadn't really at least noticed it before, is things saying, like music or TV shows or like a video saying verbatim the exact same thing as one of us is talking. Like I'll be saying like, wow, it's a beautiful day outside, and then the person on the TV show we're watching says, wow, it's a beautiful day outside, and there's no like time between me saying that and that person. It's at the same time.
Yeah, and what you can feel,
and that's really weird. I've never had that happen.
And you can feel it. Sometimes it's just slightly off, but sometimes it's just boom, 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 exactly on, and it's just whoa. Because like there for a little while, you and I both kind of felt like the vibration was off in the universe a little bit, and we weren't having synchronicities. We weren't having.
We were having like the opposite of synchronicities.
I don't even want to say it, but we were having like bad luck. It was weird. Like I legitimately like
Murphy's Law was coming in hard.
And this is something I'm going to encourage you guys with. Like if you think the universe is quote testing you, which sounds like BS or whatever, or you think that like, you know, things just aren't going great right now, and you might be going through a trial or some sort of like spiritual growth season or something, take it as the same level of synchronistic like stride, and I know it sounds insane, as you would with a good synchronicity. Because that growth is going to mean so much more. Like we kept telling ourselves, we just get flat tire after flat tire and things breaking down. And then like we had this crazy crap happen with our property that you can tell with the last video, where things just like happened, and it's like we were so happy to be there, and just kept being like, we're gonna make it through, everything's gonna be fine, you know what I mean, everything's gonna be fine. And it's just all of a sudden things just come to a head, and it's just like you're on this the other side of like what feels like rapids. It's just like, oh my gosh, like I don't know what just happened, but like synchronicity just like we legitimately, with the last video, you can watch the whole video and see kind of what happened. But like just a quick, I can break it down really fast, is we like Victoria like was talking about green boots.
Yeah,
on
I'd woken
Everest.
up thinking about green boots because I still think about that randomly sometimes.
Yeah,
it's a wild
just a
story.
weird story about a dead carcass or a cadaver,
A
deceased
person who passed, they can't get bodies off of Mount Everest, and he got far enough up where it's difficult to take him down, but he's the first like landmark like that is a person.
Yeah, they use him as a landmark, and he has green boots.
Or what used to be a person.
So we were talking about that. Long story short, we went to like relax and go out into the desert and like go
For a
discover
walk.
some stuff, and we found a green boot, which like looked like it had some weird stuff going on. But we found a green boot that was just sitting there, which was just wild, and it felt so synchronistic. It was nuts. And like, I mean, this house that we're in right now, the person that owns this house, my name is Coyne, Coyne. She reached out when our situation happened and was like, hey, I have a property, like you guys should stay here. It'd be a win-win, you know, you can yada yada. We were like, yeah, awesome, we'll check it out. Well, my name is Coyne. My brother's name's Cash. It was a whole thing growing up, Cash and Coyne. What is your parents' name? Bill and Penny, yada yada. This lady's son's name is Cash. And not just Cash. My brother's name is spelled C-A-C-H-E, like Cache, a little different. So is hers. So the lady who reached out to us and was like, hey, so like there was some synchronicities that happened that were little ones, but when that happened, I took that as, okay, Victoria, this is the place we're going, 100%. Like that to me was like, yep, the universe said, look, dude, this is like, and the thing is, synchronicity is a lot like The Secret and like the manifestation principles, where it's like, you can put this out there, like casting a line out, like fuck with fishing, pardon my French. It's one thing I learned as a young man who loved fishing in Montana growing up. You can cast right in front of the biggest trout you've ever seen. But if you don't have the right color or present it right, you're just going to be sitting there
With a fish in front of me.
looking at this fish, you know what I mean? While you perch or taking your worm. But the same thing goes with these principles like this. You know, we're figuring out so much stuff right now in, excuse me. We're figuring out so much stuff right now spiritually in this world, whether it comes from, you know, really woo-woo, exciting, possibly stuff like the telepathy tapes to straight up, like backed up science and labs that are like, people are able to do this and this in dreams, and they're able to, you know, recall things that they might not have
Remote
actually
viewing
learned in
and-
this life, and remote viewing and shit like that. It's just, with synchronicity and manifestation, you can put that line out there, but you have to do some work. And with synchronicity, a lot of that work is honestly being positive. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's letting life hit you in a way that you're not holding on to everything that you're experiencing. Meditation is a good way to like do that, where you can separate yourself from the situation and from the feelings. But with synchronicity, the stuff that's coming at you, I gotta take a drink quick. The stuff that's coming at you in life, if you can learn to see it as, and I know it sounds terrible, but like you've lost your mother, I've lost my father, I've lost my whole family, you've lost pretty much a lot of your family, just because like we're the type of people that just cut people out and end
Well,
up.
when I don't want to get into it.
Yeah, we can leave it at that. We're just people that cut people out. So we have gone through a lot of loss, and the thing is, like, you have to look at loss as, is this loss, or am I painting something I'm being given by the universe as loss because it makes me uncomfortable to learn what I'm learning from it, if that makes sense. And which is like not fun. Like, that's not fun. Like literally getting a boo-boo like spiritually and being like, all right, let's deconstruct this. It's so much more fun to be like,
shadow work,
fuck
right?
everybody. Yes, exactly. The shadow work. But it's so much more fun to just be like, fuck everybody. Let's burn this bitch down, be included. So like with synchronicity, to get back to it, you have to start working with it. Just like manifestation, stuff like that. You'll see it happening. And it's, I swear, if you react to it, like seeing it, if you react to its existence, it will be like, oh, it saw me. It's like a ghost. It's like, hey, they're aware of this. They're aware of us. Let's like do some more stuff. And then all of a sudden you'll see something like somebody offers you to live somewhere to help you. And their kid has the crazy, name. Another crazy synchronicity. And I know I'm just talking like crazy, rambling. Well, I don't have a voice already, which is a great sign when we're this far into the podcast. The first real synchronicity that I like dealt with in my life that was like, what is happening? Of course, there was a psychedelic involved, but it was just mushrooms. So I did some mushrooms.
Just mushrooms.
Yeah.
For some people, that would be a lot.
I was saying that jokingly. I was saying that facetiously. Like, psilocybin is the best, and anything like that. Like, I'm not telling anyone to take anything. You guys do your own research and do things at your own risk. So I took some psilocybin mushrooms. And at this time, I was experiencing a lot of synchronicity, the same stuff that Victoria and I are talking about. And I actually had a journal where I was writing down like these, see if like the universe was trying to tell me something, because I didn't know what was going on. Just all of a sudden, a lot of these things were happening at the same time. So with that, I took some mushrooms, meditated a little bit, and once like I was comfortable in the transition of the trip, I went into research mode, and I was like, hey, what is synchronicity? What's this all about? Started reading about Carl Jung a little bit, found a YouTube video of a guy that was like, hey, what's up with psilocybin and synchronicity? Is there a connection? And it had like tie-dye behind it and had like 245,000 views. Clicked on it. Long story short, this guy was talking about psilocybin and synchronicity. And he was like, I was on mushrooms at the airport and I was listening to the Flaming Lips, and I was sitting there listening to them, and all of a sudden Wayne Coyne walks in front of me. And like, if you guys know the Flaming Lips, Wayne Coyne, his last name is Coyne, which is my first name, which is not a very common name. Just like Cash, like my brother. So I looked up synchronicity and mushrooms, having just taken mushrooms, and this like hippie dude was talking about synchronicity, mushrooms, and Coyne, and Wayne Coyne, Coyne, and I'm like tripping, and I'm just like, is happening? The first video I look up on synchronicity with mushrooms has my name in it, and he keeps saying it. So I like closed my laptop and was just like, that's weird. You know what I mean? And have had since then kind of a feeling of the universe winking at you, which I think is one of the best ways possibly to describe synchronicity. And I think the meaning behind that wink is up to you.
That's so interesting, because the first time I got into, or I had a synchronistic experience, or started having them, I was really young, and I had no psychedelic. I was too young for that.
Good.
First time I experienced synchronicity, I don't know how young I was. So pretty young, like me and my mom were on a solo girls trip to the coast, getting away from our chaotic family, and I was really young, like between 3 and 6, right around somewhere within that age bracket. And I had these little Barbie toys that were not just Barbie toys, they were Barbie little kid toys. So they were extra small. And they were pink and yellow. And one was a seesaw and like a chair or something. I can't remember.
These were the Barbie kids, right?
Yeah,
these
the Barbie
were the kids of the
Barbies. So they were extra
I don't
small.
know that because I had them. I know that because I'm an amazing husband and I listen, and you should.
And he remembered. But I had these little toys and I was all obsessed with them. And I was playing with them while we were walking along the beach. And not the smartest idea, because I dropped the toys and a wave came up and just swooped them right away. They were plastic, so they just floated. And I was devastated because the ocean stole my favorite toys How dare the ocean? Oh my God. And I was so upset. I might have been crying or something.
You were definitely crying.
If I cry over the things I cry about now, I was definitely crying. And my mom
My Barbie children.
She took that moment to have a motherly, like, teachable moment. Like, the ocean takes things from you, and like, it's not up to us if it gives it back. It's nature. Nature does as nature will do. It's out of our control. And I was like, that's not fair, and that doesn't make any sense, and all this stuff. And then I was all stewing, like, just about to accept that, like, I had gotten, like, effed over by the ocean, right?
Neptune
as a
had stole your
little
shit.
girl, and then just like right in front of us, like 20 feet away or something, on the crest of a little wave, sat my two little toys, just riding on up onto the sand. And then the wave receded, and the toys stayed there, like it had been dropped off to me from the ocean. And I was like, sick, the ocean listen. Yeah, man. And so I ran up and I grabbed him, and I was like, Mom. And my mom, I remember her gobsmacked look, like, that happened.
Like you Moana'd it in. She felt like you, like...
I was
you
on the
manifested
verge
it.
of accepting defeat, and then the ocean was like, don't worry. Life is full of magic. You don't have to lose it. your hope and, like, will at this young, tender age.
I love that. I love that.
That was I think of that as a synchronistic experience, because, like, what are the odds that would happen for me, especially when I was like, the ocean is a bitch.
Dude, that's the thing. I wasn't raised with the ocean. I was raised with, like, lakes and rivers in Montana, and I cannot imagine, like, going to the ocean and being like, 'cause you were kind of timid with it, like, you were kind of scared of the ocean. You told me.
Also, that same trip, I cried myself to sleep because I could hear the ocean from our hotel,
Yeah.
and I was afraid it was going to eat me.
Exactly, and it scared the shit. I think the ocean knew it took it too far, and it was just like, okay, look, she earned our respect. Here's your shit back. Like,
Maybe.
know the line.
Maybe.
Come back. We'll see you later. Remember the seals are cute.
I've had a bunch of other synchronistic experiences, just like talking about things
The
and
bank.
just seeing.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, literally, like, Victoria surprised me, like, when we got married. I think this is a funny time to tell it, maybe. Like Victoria had a little, like, inheritance that she didn't tell me about. So, like, we got married, and I'm, like, married to my wife, and everything's great. And she's like, oh, by the way, I'm going to inherit some money. Like,
At this time.
Nothing insane, but it was just, like, awesome. And it was just like, well, that's freaking rad. Well, the one bank... And
I've only seen one at the town that, like, I started it at, and then here.
Yeah, and we moved to Arizona, and they literally have one in, like, the closest town and one in the next closest town. Mm-hmm. Which is insane. Like, I know people are like, oh, well, whatever, it's big. No! This is, like, specific Pacific Northwest random ass, like, literally, don't fucking see a bank. Like, I've seen 2 of these banks in my life, and then now they're, like, literally here in Arizona, right next to the border we have. It just, yeah, it was wild. That was a crazy coincidence. I don't know what green boots. I was like, what's grieve roots? I can't read my handwriting from here. But the Orbs with our neighbor too, that was another crazy coincidence. Mm-hmm. Like, we went over to a neighbor's house, and we're kind of talking about, like, off-grid stuff at his place and having dinner and had a good time, and was talking to him about the orbs, like the UFO orbs that we were seeing, and does he see the same ones? And as we're talking about it, we're like, we see him over here. You know, like, in this area, 2 of them show up in literally, like, dual helix spiral and then dip out in 2 different directions. And we were all just like, what the fuck?
It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, she saw it. It was amazing. That was, like, the most, like... That's another thing. The orbs make me feel really synchronistic. Like,
they danced away from me when I would look. Like, they would vanish
weird.
when I'd go to look.
I don't even like talk about it because I feel like it hurt your feelings.
It did.
I know. Like the
it did, actually.
Like, I'm not bullshitting you guys. We're out, like, in the Sonoran Desert, like the edge of the Sonoran Desert, north of the border, and we're in our RV on, like, 20 acres. It's pitch black out there. Like, nobody's around us. And all of a sudden, the sky, you see what looks like a freaking headlight, and then another headlight, and they're glowing and have, like, a slight yellow tint to them. And they show up stationary and then start, like, moving. And I was like, what the hell is this? And I say to Victoria, and she comes in and looks, and they disappear. And I mean, things like that, I don't know if that's coincidental.
That happened like 5 times,
I
though.
know,
Like way more than one time.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's coincidental, and I don't know if that's like something about attention or something as far as like, oh ye of little faith or
I
something.
don't know.
I don't know, but
I don't know.
I don't know either. It's
I'm not anyway.
you
Whatever.
believe
I'm not a
UFOs.
skeptic.
You like that shit. Oh, what would you have done if I would have just like looked and we hadn't been recording? That would have been
Typical.
I would not say that's typical. I'm a great audio engineer, you meanie.
Oh, you are a great audio engineer. I just mean like maybe I shouldn't say that.
We're
Expectation is the manifestation of reality.
We're lucky people. Separation between, I would say, coincidence, synchronicity, and premonition.
Oh yeah.
Because
I don't think synchronicity and premonition are necessarily related.
well, Mark Twain having the dream is premonition.
It's true. I've never thought about it like that.
Yeah. It's where like a famous example of synchronicity is Mark Twain had a dream that, I guess it was an interpretatory dream, I guess, because it wasn't exactly. But he was in a casket in his dream.
He had like a really specific dream.
Yeah, Mark Twain had a
Down to
dream
the
that his
colours
brother
and the
like was in a
suit he was
casket
wearing.
and like saw like what he'd like worn and everything, and then like he was in that casket, like, and it was a metal casket and there were specific reasons and stuff.
And it was like his suit that his brother had borrowed without him knowing. And when he had the dream, he was like, "There's no way you'd ever be in my suit."
It's interesting. It was just like, but I mean, you have to have that. It was his suit. That's right. Sorry, that tripped me out. But it has to be like some sort of distinction, I guess, when you're talking about synchronicity, because premonition to me, like, it falls into the line of, our dreams something that we receive externally, or a dream something that we're putting in just like a film reel and we're like watching behind the eyelids when we sleep at night from some sort of like, you know, knee-jerk, what would be a knee-jerk reaction of neurons bumping around in a, you know.
Doesn't that seem like
Bumper.
a lazy man's explanation?
It does, but it's like, shit, man, there's some things that like,
Just are.
I wouldn't say just are. It's like you start looking at the way life does things, and it's like, okay, life is like electricity. It's going to find a lot of the easy way to do things over time, you know, from X, Y, and Z. It's going to find the path of like least resistance, or the path of like most advantage, I guess, survival of the fittest or whatever. And then all of a sudden there's shit that just doesn't make sense. Like how or why, you know what I mean? And I think that's the realm you start to get into with this, is just like, that it gets into kind of the unexplainable, because it's only explainable to the person. And coincidence is one of those things that I think is just random as shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I would say coincidence is like if I like pull back an arrow and I shoot it and I just happen to hit like a gopher or something, or a bird out of the air. Like, that could be coincidence. You know
When
what I
you
mean?
weren't aiming at it?
Yeah. But if I do that and that bird happened to belong to someone that like happened to do or know someone or something, and they let him out of their window, and I happen to shoot that bird or whatever, or I shoot my arrow and it happens to go and hit a tire, and that tire is some person that I know through something or lines up something. When chance is aligned, I think that would be a good way of saying it. But with premonition, like, I dream about reptiles before I see them a lot. And I don't mean like I dream about a reptile and then I like go to the store and see one. I mean, like, I will dream about like a big fat-headed reptile and then I'll see like a skink type thing. Or I will dream about like a viper and see a rattlesnake the next day, a wild one. And I don't think that's synchronicity. I feel like that's premonition. And if it's premonition, wouldn't that mean that it's coming from something externally?
Mm-hmm. Or you're picking up something externally.
Yeah. Which
like
is what
a receiver.
Which is what people argue what consciousness is anyway. That your brain just gets big enough, you know, at a certain age or whatever, you get enough neurons that you start receiving the intergalactic radio station. I heard Rush.
I don't know what I heard, but something maybe.
What is it? What fucking Spirit of the Radio? Yeah, so the interesting thing, that's the interesting thing about like synchronicity too to keep in mind is it's what's like significant to you. It's not always going to be, oh, I'm talking about a gold scarab beetle and the scarab beetle knocks at the door. Like it's okay, yeah, it could be as simple as your parent calls you sugar plum or something and you're thinking about your deceased parent or some deceased friend or something, and then you look over and a truck pulls up and it says sugar plum and then pulls off. Like nobody else is going to be like, oh, look at the synchronistic things that are happening. Like that's 100% from your vantage point that you notice that and you see this synchronicity happening. And I think that's like something to keep in mind. It's what you perceive. Like synchronicity's importance and synchronicity's reality and synchronicity's like impact has to do with your awareness and or feeling of it. But don't like paint with a broad brush. Like one thing that I do with synchronicity a lot is that like my brain goes into what are the odds? You know, what are the odds? Like I sit there and think about it. If I like am thinking something and then like, I mean, the other day I was kind of having an interesting day and I was feeling like some feels and stuff, and we were in a grocery store and all of a sudden this song comes on that's very, very like specific to me in a very like, I wouldn't say like I love the song even necessarily, but the song is very important to me and I like used to listen to it a lot and stuff, and there's a specific time in my life that it represents. And when we were in the store the other day, and it's not a very popular song, that was a weird thing. And it's like little things like that will just be like, oh, this was synchronicity, you know, but don't paint with a wide brush because like if everything's special, nothing is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's sure. You gotta feel it. And that's when it's, when it really starts working crazy is when you start feeling it. It's like what I imagine like somebody who like has superpowers on like a Marvel show or something, or like you haven't seen Phenomenon yet, we'll watch at some point, but like when he discovers he can move shit with his mind, it's kind of like that, except that you're being the object moved with the universe's mind. If that makes sense. Yeah, it's just I love the thought of synchronicity. I love the reality of synchronicity. I love synchronicity as kind of like if you're a religious person at all, it goes in with like the Matthew 7:7 philosophy of Christianity. I shouldn't say religious. If you're a Christian person, Matthew 7:7 is all about asking and you'll get, you know, it's like, and it pertains to wisdom. Like it's not necessarily like open the door to like whatever. It's like, no, ask the questions, expect things and let them like happen. Let them come to you. Like I always like, it's so interesting to me as somebody who like moved from Christianity to other like, you know, experiments of faith, and like you hear things that you're like, damn, that sounds like Buddhism. Holy hell, that sounds like Buddhism.
Mark Twain and his
Well, famous synchronicities.
Yeah, famous synchronicities, because there are a few like historical counts of synchronicities that happen to people, or just self-reported. These are all like self-reported for the most part. Mark Twain, being the author that he was, definitely reported it or recorded it, because he had like a premonition dream about his brother's death, like to the color of the flowers that were laying on his chest. The coffin he was in was a metal coffin, which was atypical, but there was a reason for it. His brother was in one of Mark's suits that he after the dream thought there's no way he
thought that was peculiar.
Yeah,
why was he?
Why would he have my suit? Why would he be in that? And then his brother, like I don't remember how long after, but a few days or weeks or months. I think it was like weeks or months.
I think it was a few days.
Really?
Actually, I think so. I think it was.
I'd have to look.
Yeah.
But his brother got in a steamboat accident and he died.
And the boiler.
He didn't went in to see his brother in the coffin, and he was just struck with that was the same moment as his dream. And at first he didn't believe it, because he was like, maybe it can just be coincidences with the kind of coffin he was in. But then he was in his suit that he didn't know his brother had borrowed last time he had seen him, and he was wearing it, and as he was seeing his brother and processing all of this, a woman came in with the same bouquet of flowers and laid it on his chest, the same way that Twain had dreamt it in his dream.
Yeah, which is like where we go into the question, like, as crazy as that is, which I think it is, like, synchronistic, is it premonition? Mm-hmm. Which, like, I think that's a yeah, well, that's the thing, though, like, I think you have to look at, like, I think synchronicity is an intentional either show of maybe awareness, like that's showing that there's a awareness to the universe, or an intentional stacking of the decks a little bit in your favor, depending on what. Because, like, Mark Twain talks about in his life that he can, like, pretty readily throughout his life saw signs and symbols and, like,
Foreshadowing?
yeah, well, good things. Like, it was like, I think I have it right here. It was, Mark Twain talks about it. He had a lifelong brush with strange timing and symbols. As somebody who travels a lot myself and has done a lot of things in my life, people that have more time to think, you know, I think people that understand synchronicity more, they tend to be like loner, stoner, hippie weirdos on the edge of society that tend to have more time to just sit and think a lot more. You know what I mean? Which I know sounds weird, maybe, but I'm somebody, like, I'm diagnosed with autism. I have anxiety disorder and panic disorder and all this other crap. And, like, if I hadn't taken time to get to, like, to be able to function in my skin and figure out kind of who I was, and in that, take some time to look at the stars and chill a little bit and breathe and travel and move, and not in a way that's like I've summered in the East or something. It's like, nah, like, I fucking, you know, like, lived in a tiny home for a while, did the van life, like, packed here, did there, worked these jobs, did that to try and, like, move and shake. And you have time to reflect and think. And when you start having that quietness is when you can start seeing the universe move more. And people that have the ability to sit in the quietness of the universe can see it more a lot of times. And that's, I think, where psychedelics will force you to get into that open-minded, more perceptive mindset. Receptive, I think. Open of awareness. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, an open awareness. But yeah, it's as far as somebody that works with synchronicity a lot myself and loves it and thinks it's like a guiding factor with things, the only tip I can give you as somebody who really, like, does believe, I see it a lot. I don't feel like I'm some sort of synchronistic master, but I can see it working, and I, like, have seen it come and go in my life. And I feel like the times that it is more available and you see synchronicity working in your life is when you're not being clingy. And by being clingy with life, I mean, you're not, like, holding on to the past. You're not holding on to things people said to you. You're not holding on to things you're stressed about from work. You're not holding on to finances. You're not holding on to this or that. You're letting life flow. Let it do its thing. Like the flow state with a musician, like the flow state with, like, a lyricist or a freestyle poet or some shit, or even like a tile layer or a site or a drywaller. You
almost
can get
anything. You can enter a flow state. You can do it with massage. You can do it with tattooing. You can.
And you know what I think the flow state really is? It's getting out of your way. It's getting out of your own way. Once you've learned how to do something, and once you've, like, kind of understood how things work, you get out of your own way and let your body do it. And I think with synchronicity, it's kind of that way with your mind. It's a lot like meditation. Get out of your own way. Let it happen. And with life, if you're clingy and you're holding on to things, if you're spending all of your time reflecting and ruminating and stuff like that, there's no room for anything else. You know, you have to look at your thoughts the same way you look at, like, anything. It's not like you have infinite amounts of all of this. If you have X amount of minutes throughout the day and you've taken up a bunch of your brain power throughout the day and all of your spare time thinking about ruminatory, negative, like, guilt-ridden BS, you don't have time for anything else. Your brain is not going to pick up on anything. If you can get all that crap out and get rid of the misplaced guilt and get rid of the, this or that you think you could have done wrong, and start just looking at the current moment, the joy you have, letting the negativity pass through you, the positivity pass through you. It's only got a moment and it's gone. And let yourself do that. And when you do, you can start looking around and seeing like things are lining up. Why does the universe love me? Is the flying spaghetti monster finally getting accurate with his spaghetti balls of love?
The real question.
Yeah. So you guys have to reach out to us with your best synchronicities, your synchronicity moments that have happened in your life. Let us know, please. And I'm not super baked. It's just like midnight and I'm like it's past my bedtime now, which is weird. I used to be up so much later. So like, you guys let us know what you think with synchronicity. Is it like some sort of communication from the other side? Is it just you being more aware of your surroundings?
Or is it like lightning strikes from an unconscious collective mind we all have?
You just happen to like think is coincidence or something. I don't know.
Hits you, or what are some experiences you guys have had, and what do you think about synchronicities? Like, we'd love to know. Like,
please, because like we'll talk about it on the next one. Hit us up on YouTube, obviously, or TikTok. We've got a big following on there. We'll make a video here either tonight or tomorrow where we're going to ask you guys on those followings, what are your biggest synchronicities? And we can share that obviously with the rest of the following. But yeah, we've had crazy technical difficulties tonight. Hours longer than we thought we would be just doing a
literally
simple,
about 3 hours longer.
Yeah, which is crazy for synchronicity. But I've said in the third take now, which I wasn't going to talk about, I was just going to power through, but I think it's good to like share with you guys. Like, it's been crazy. We've had audio, we've had the phone not charge randomly. It wasn't charging. And we had our hard drive full when it should not have been full. Just crazy, like weird coincidence stuff with synchronicity, when I was literally in the middle of talking about how life and synchronicity only work the right way in you, or synchronicity works really well in you and through you when you're not clingy and you're not angry and you're not holding on to things, and you're letting like life and its experiences flow through you and around you and mold you and stuff. And then everything gets crazy and difficult and I feel sticky and but yeah, just I'm gonna do.
Good word.
It is a good word. It really is, because you're like clingy and holding on to things. But is there anything else you wanted to add?
I guess if I wanted anyone to get something out of this about synchronicity, I would really just want to share that it's, I just think synchronicity is a really interesting phenomena that we all experience. I think I can't say for sure every human being has had a synchronistic event, but I would err more on the side that everyone has in some way. It's a lot like how much you're open to seeing it.
Yeah.
Because it could be there, you just might not be seeing it.
And that's another thing with it, is you have people talking about synchronicity. Is it like the question with the sound? If a tree falls in the forest, does it actually make a sound if there's anyone there to hear it?
Yeah.
It's like the same thing with synchronicity. Is it actually synchronicity if there's anyone there to perceive it?
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's a cool question to ask. But like with that, I just want to thank you guys so much for coming by.
Thank you for being here.
Listening and supporting us, and check us out on everything. And if you feel like supporting us, you can find us on Cash App at Wiggins Wild World. We'd really appreciate it. We're 100% viewer and listener
Donation
and follower
funded.
supported. So thank you guys for everything. Check us out on Patreon and TikTok and YouTube. And if you see us on anything else, we're not on Facebook. We're not on Instagram. We're not on anything other than TikTok and YouTube.
Yup.
So if you see us on anything, please report it and tell them they're terrible. And hope you guys have the absolute best rest of your week. And we will be back at you at this time next week. We let the first episode cook a little long because it just wasn't getting the reach we thought it should. So now that it actually got out there a little bit, reaching out to some more guests. If you guys know anybody, or you are somebody who would like to be on the show, and we can Zoom and reach out to you, or if you're in the greater like Tucson area, or in Arizona, we might be able to figure something out.
Yeah,
But,
just reach out, let us know. And I hope everyone has a great rest of your morning, evening, day, night, whatever time it is.
Yeah. Let us know about the synchronicities that are happening in your wild world.
Yeah.
Yeah, just keep it wild and stay aware.
Stay safe.
And we love you guys. See you soon.
Bye.